God bless you, the mental health pastor here, Fernando Kittrell. And this is day number 13 of the 30 days Better is Possible challenge. Day number 13 of the Better is Possible. And I'm encouraged and excited to share with you today. We're going to talk a little bit about emotional self-care essentials. Emotional self-care essentials. There are certain things that I try my best to implement daily because I recognize that we can get so busy, so caught up in routines and sometimes ruts and busyness that we forget to really look after our emotional self-care. This is why mental health is such a high topic right now in society, because to a large degree, the stigma has been removed, if you will, culturally, the stigma on mental health. So people now are not hiding anymore and suffering in silence. More people are coming out saying, hey, I'm struggling. I need help. What do I need to do? And so I'm excited that I get an opportunity to share things as a professional, help people and walk people through things. And so today we want to talk about emotional self-care essentials. And I can talk a lot about this on just it's endless on things you could do to be having emotional self-care. But I'm just going to talk about three or four points today, just to get you into being stimulated emotionally to want to have better emotional care. Emotional care is so important that our mind and how we think and our perspective is healthy, and we're feeding ourselves wholesome information. This is 2024, and we got to be better than 2023. If we neglected to take care of ourselves in 2023, 2024, we're not. We're going to be on purpose. We're going to be intentional, and we're going to be determined to heal and to be whole. Take lunch breaks. Sometimes just something simple as taking a lunch break. So many people on their lunch break, they don't even eat. They check emails and they work on projects, but it's called a lunch break. It's a time of resting and moving away from and setting some time apart to eat lunch, if you will. But even in that, it's aimed at you refueling, resetting. Lunch breaks are not for working harder or working on more projects. And this is why so many people are burnt out. But 2024, we want to be better. We want to walk in being better. Better is possible, but we have to cooperate. We got to cooperate with the resources and the possibilities that are connected to better. So, all right, emotional self-care essentials. This is one thing that I try my best to implement daily, and that is scheduling time for positive self-reflection. About 10 to 15 minutes a day we should pull aside. If you're somewhere or you're at a job that you don't have 10 to 15 minutes to self-reflect and to sit still and ask yourself questions like, hey, am I okay? How am I feeling? Evaluate your thoughts, your attitude, your motivation, and just simply pull away from the scheme of things. Nothing is worth you losing or having poor emotional health. So schedule some time during the day, 10 to 15 minutes. It could be at night. It could be at lunch. But it's important that daily we get into a rhythm that we say we have to take some time to think. Self-reflect is just simply, setting aside time to deeply, evaluate your thoughts, your attitudes, motivations, and your desires. Examine your behaviors. Ask yourself some why. Why am I feeling a certain way? How am I doing? Self-reflect. It's healthy, so we won't continue moving in unhealthy momentums. Sometimes we're moving so quickly, and we're on a momentum for grinding and making sure we're hustling, but we're not taking time to think and to reflect and to gather ourselves, ask ourselves questions. How am I feeling? Am I okay today? Pray. It's times maybe to pray and ask God, how am I doing? Sometimes we don't know how we're doing, but setting some time aside, 10 to 15 minutes a day. Sometimes what I do in that moment is I inhale and exhale, like do some breathing techniques, just kind of gathering myself so I can make sure that life is not I'm in control. I'm not letting circumstances in life pull me out into the drift and I'm wandering on the current downstream. No, this is a time to think, self-reflect. It's a time to ponder and to reflect. So I think 10 to 15 minutes a day is good. I take time to do that. I see other people, when I do it, I've questioned, hey, what are you doing, man? I'm saying, hey, I'm taking time for myself. And people marvel because everyone wants to be healthy, but not a lot of people that I've encountered, even through counseling and meeting and consulting, a lot of people, just from my recollection, they feel like they got to just constantly be on the move to get things done. But you can't get stuff done sick. You can't get stuff done not well and broken down and burnt out. So 10 to 15 minutes a day, 2024, be in control of your emotional self-care. These are just, I'm giving you today just some essentials that help calm you and help still you and help create a healthy rhythm, a daily rhythm where you take time for yourself to breathe, to think, to ponder, to pray, read your word, just settle yourself. All right. So that's point number one. Take time to positive self-reflection. Positive in the sense that, you're thinking, so and also there's affirmations in that. Positive self-reflection is seeing yourself through a positive lens. Also seeing yourself in a positive lens that whatever is not right can become better. Sometimes we self-reflect, but it's negative with this thinking how much we're not and where we're not going, what we don't have. But positive self-reflection is looking at yourself through the lens of hope, looking at yourself through the lens of optimism, through the lens of faith. All right, 10 to 15 minutes a day. All right, number two. This is a big one here for emotional self-care, is view shame and guilt as enemies of peace. View shame and guilt as enemies of peace. So often, guilt and shame are the people are struggling with, and they are the robbers of peace. Guilt and shame are the dynamic duo to rob you of peace. And when you're constantly, continuously in this vein of thinking, you're feeling shameful, guilty, not worthy, feeling like you're a fraud. All these emotions eat away and at your body, at you being at maximum, at you living according to what God has for you. These things compete against your peace. They compete against your perspective. Guilt and shame are enemies of peace. So I'm using this one because this is a big one. This is a big one. People struggle with guilt and shame of things of the past, things that they haven't let go of, and not looking at themselves through the lens of God's word or through his love. And so you have to understand that these are enemies of peace. When we come to the conclusion that these are robbers of wholeness, they rob you of peace. They rob you of healing. They rob you of restoration. So when we define those emotions, those feelings of guilt and shame, and if we view them as negative, there is a tendency to resist giving into them. So I'm using this because you can't have positive self-reflection if you're letting guilt and shame compete against your positive self-reflection. And so you have to view these. So when those feelings or thoughts come upon you, you're a nobody. You're still a failure. You failed at this, and you're a jerk, and all these thoughts. When you understand that they are not things God sends in your life to compliment you, then you'll be able to, when they come, identify and define them as negative. God doesn't call you to wholeness by using guilt and shame. Guilt and shame are enemies of peace. They're robbers of joy. They're robbers of laughter. They're robbers of happiness. And so recognize that when you're sitting alone and those things come upon you or come in your head, or you start thinking about yourself in a lowly place, you know what? Stop and say, you know what? No, I'm not that. Nope. I will not accept that. That's not who I am. That's not, that's in my past. I have been forgiven. I've forgiven myself. So you gotta, when you understand that they are robbers of peace, you will counter them with affirmations from God's word. No, I am the righteousness of God. I am forgiven. I am whole. I'm not that. If you begin to resist them long enough, then they become less strong in your life. And so, all right, that's number 2. View shame and guilt as enemies. They're enemies of peace. Don't sit there and ponder how worthless and how wretched and whack you are. No, that's not. No, you are forgiven and you're a whole. That's another whole teaching that I'm gonna do on that. But for now, that's just point number 2. Point number 3. This is really a good one as well. Allow gratitude to be a daily source to boost your healthy view of others and yourself. A person who's grateful, a person who has a heart of gratitude, it increases a healthy view of others and themselves. It increases, it stimulates emotions that are optimistic, that are wholesome towards others and towards yourself. Being an ungrateful person is a negative. But being grateful, it triggers happy thoughts. It triggers thoughts of peace and joy when you're grateful, and when you're looking at things through the lens of gratitude. It boosts your morale. You're grateful. So I want to encourage you to do that, because sometimes we have a healthy view of ourselves because we're negative. We're ungrateful. We're thinking, everybody's just up to something. But when you're grateful, just simple, you know what? I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my job. I'm just grateful to be here. That's a change of heart. That's a change of heart, a posture of your heart. And lastly, I put this last, but this is not necessarily last in order. It's just I wanted to really talk about this. You have to ask God to help you. You have to ask God to help you to do these 3. These are things that have blessed my life. I continually strive to do them. And these are just some essentials. I mean, there's 1,000 more I could come up with, but these are just 3 I had to kind of narrow down. Emotional self-care essentials. These things help keep me encouraged, and it boosts my morale when 10, 15 minutes a day, viewing of self-reflection, viewing shame and guilt as enemies of peace, and then just keeping a heart of gratitude. It just encourages me, it gets my adrenaline flowing, and I feel good. All right. So this is day number 13 of the 30 days of Better is Possible. And I appreciate you tuning in. All right. I'll see you soon.